Cloud House. Along Bondi Beach, there is a private residence called Cloud House. The design maximizes the possibility of light interacting with the house's surfaces in a way similar to how a cloud's facets do. A central courtyard and specific apertures penetrate two connected volumes, creating a play on air and light. The interior courtyard on the ground floor and the open walkway on the upper level serve as connections between the two separate constructions that make up the house. Apertures that address both program and context are pierced into the rectilinear volumes, each of which offers a unique play on light. The main floor of the house has flexible living areas, while the upper floor has private bedrooms and additional living space. The levels are connected by circulation that sides the central courtyard. By a rhythm of modest curves in the interior features, a pivoting round window, a curved concrete plinth, and custom joinery that tapers flush into the wall, the rectilinear geometry of the facade of the house is softened inside. Warm wood, whites, and grays are used sparingly as a color scheme to encourage a connection with Bondi's coastal setting, while wall treatments like gently bagged brick help to capture the changing light throughout the day. The building's massing was determined by the site's northeast orientation, which draws light deeper into the site's narrow confines. Via carefully chosen, yet whimsical openings, the first floor volume interacts with the Bondi streetscape as seen from the street, cantilevering over the concrete carport. It serves as a barrier to the house beyond, which is discreetly situated with the main living areas anchored between an interior courtyard and a back-planted garden. Openings on the eastern facade let in morning sunlight and provide privacy from nearby neighbors thanks to sliding timber screens. The building's massing was determined by the site's northeast orientation, which draws light deeper into the site's narrow confines. Via carefully chosen, yet whimsical openings, the first floor volume interacts with the Bondi streetscape as seen from the street, cantilevering over the concrete carport. It serves as a barrier to the house beyond, which is discreetly situated with the main living areas anchored between an interior courtyard and a back-planted garden. Openings on the eastern facade let in morning sunlight and provide privacy from nearby neighbors thanks to sliding timber screens. From the beginning, landscaping was a key component of the design, and working with Dangar Barin Smith made it possible to seamlessly integrate outdoor spaces like the rear garden, outdoor shower, and timber courtyard throughout the ground floor. A planter bed softens the edge of the master bedroom on the first floor. A combination of meticulous design detail and the building team's skill allowed for the realization of the project's simplicity. Customized components, including a curved concrete base, a rotating circular steel window, and movable timber privacy screens, were realized through collaborations with specialized contractors. Boulevard House. Boulevard House is an exemplar of passive solar design that sits comfortably in its context, providing a robust, exciting, and flexible home. It finds a balance between a large home befitting its context and a humble, livable, and friendly family home. The construction has been implemented impeccably. Every detail has been considered, high-quality materials are employed throughout, and landscaping integrates seamlessly. It's significant that sustainable design concepts have been used at every turn. By getting back to the fundamentals, this home achieves perfection in terms of comfort, adaptability, and energy economy. The owners, a 4-person family with 2 small children, were eager to create a new family home that would suit their needs both now and in the future. The site's steepness provided interesting chances to take advantage of vistas of the city beyond and trees along the Yarra River from both the north and south. 2 east-west pavilions connected by a circulation core, with passive solar design at the foreground of concept development, allowed all rooms to get north sun and cross ventilation while establishing individual garden areas and enabling lovely views via internal vistas. Building steps down the site, following the land's natural slope, which helps it appear smaller and fit more comfortably into its surroundings. A stunning array of wooden fins provides privacy for bedrooms while taming north light and reducing visual bulk. Double-height voids, split floors, private courtyards, balconies, connecting bridges, rammed earth feature walls, large living and garden areas, and a 25-meter lap pool running the length of the house are just a few of the dynamic spaces that make up this residence. The family can function in their own areas while remaining connected to one another thanks to a double height gap that connects the kitchen to a mezzanine playroom. Additional spaces for refuge, such as sunken window seats, are created by deep reveals in thick rammed earth walls. A central mezzanine space allows the children's bedrooms to extend or contract as needed, ensuring that the home will adapt to changing family demands. The guest bedroom is sized to serve as a second, private living area and is centrally positioned, receives north light, opens to the garden. By continuously re-evaluating and improving design aspects throughout construction, with reference to the rationale, strong collaboration between the architect, builder, and owner generated excellent value, ensuring that the built outcome excelled to be as cost-effective and meaningful as possible. Sustainability. Boulevard House is a prime example of passive solar design, expertly constructing a series of interior spaces that are consistently comfortable and energy efficient thanks to the strict application of environmental design principles from high-level conceptual thinking all the way down to material selection and detailing. The scale, materiality, and design features have to fit the location well and offer just enough for the family. Because of this, no area in this structure is large only for its own sake, rather, each one functions effectively within its surroundings. A number of sustainable design elements are fully implemented, including the use of thermal mass through concrete slabs and rammed earth walls, natural lighting, heating, cooling, and ventilation, seasonal shading, and healthy material selection. In order to ensure that on-site generation outpaces the family's consumption, a sizable 7.1 kW solar array, solar pool heating, and 8,000 liters of rainwater storage have all been installed. The design made use of the complete website to make the most of the time, effort, resources, and materials that went into creating it. Since it was constructed to last, many people will be able to live comfortably there for many years without the need for remodeling or replacement. This structure will have as little of an impact on the environment as possible, thrill, and last forever. Bent Annex 2 House. What if living in your house was like living in a garden pavilion? It does at Bent Annex 2. This family of four and Pippa the Groodle are surrounded by lush greenery and can easily enjoy their backyard thanks to the preservation of the character-rich front section of the property and the construction of a new, light-filled addition to the rear. The existing house was attractive with high ceilings and elaborate features, as is typical of many historic buildings. Due to a number of rooms, including the kitchen, storage spaces, and a toilet that were tacked onto the back in a lean-to, as is also the case with many historical homes, the living quarters felt cut off from the backyard. Due to two important factors, we decided against replacing the lean-to with an open-plan living space that would extend from back to back and open into the garden. First of all, we always strive to position houses such that they face north and extend long ways from east to west. This enables them to benefit from the sun's passive heating properties in the winter and its cooling effects in the summer. In the thick of summer, the low eastern light can heat up the home excessively before the day has even begun. The backyard faces east, and while we adore the eastern sun streaming into the kitchen and meals area while we eat our winter porridge, we also had to find a solution to generate privacy without sacrificing the sun and a leafy aspect due to a large, two-story neighbor to the east. A hybrid alternative was chosen as the solution. It makes its way into the garden while capturing light and views from the north and a few peeks from the east through thoughtfully placed windows and a canopy of creepers and other vegetation. In this manner, the house makes the most of the garden and sun. The chambers in the original house provided the ideal seclusion for resting as well as quieter activities like bathing and a separate lounge. A circulation core that draws light from a high-level window to brighten the heart of the house connects them to the lighter, busier areas of the house. This roomy, open area serves as a warm transition between the formal, period component of the house and the informal, garden pavilion. You feel as though you have entered the garden once you enter the annex. Thanks to floor-to-ceiling sliding glass doors, the walls disappear. The residence is protected by the addition's construction, which also connects the interior and exterior of the house like an arbor. As a result, the line separating the home and yard appears even more hazy. The arbor, which has built-in planter boxes, is designed to stimulate the growth of vines and creepers so that it will shade and enclose the living areas. The addition's timber ceilings echo those in the old house and enclose the lounge, but because they follow the angled armature of the arbor-like construction, they feel striking and contemporary. The interiors of the house are made warm and naturally rich by the addition of other types of timber. The backdrop is the ideal balance of dusty green, gray, and charcoal to the lush green of the garden. Even though it appears to be lightweight and outdoorsy, the annex is actually packed with thermal mass and passive design principles that enable it stay comfortable year-round, regardless of the weather. The trick to designing the optimal addition for any house is to make the most of the location's advantages while minimizing its disadvantages. In this instance, the backyard felt forgotten because the rear didn't have the ideal solar orientation and a leering two-story neighboring house. In order to make the house and garden feel more private, Bent Annex 2 turns its back on the adjacent house and reorients the living areas so that they face the sun. The home is able to visually expand to take up the full site, and the owners may feel as though they live in a lush garden by constructing a living area that not only embraces the garden but also seems like it is a part of it. Touring a treehouse. A detached residential addition called touring a treehouse can be found in a backyard. Both incorporated and separate from the old house, the treehouse causes a change in how the site is occupied, reflecting a relaxed attitude motivated by a significant tree and the unusual space it encloses. Brisbane is a lush, subtropical city with many suburbs. Typically, housing lots are long and narrow. Traditional Queenslander homes made of wood and tin occupy the street's edge and leave the back of the homes largely empty. These so-called backyards are typically overgrown, disorderly areas where kids hang out and temporary buildings. The treehouse is intended to serve as an invitation to explore and interact with this distinctive but frequently unexplored region. The footprint is small and the location is deliberate to prevent displacing valuable landscape. The structure creates a sizable courtyard between it and the home, provides seclusion to the neighbors to the side and back, and provides afternoon shade. The thoughtful approach to the area of close proximity is the triangle layout. To make room for the imposing tree, the long edge, hypotenuse, was chopped, creating a wide entranceway into the garden from the northeast. The exaggerated weatherboard height was created to catch the tree's shadow play. The transparent staircase is hidden in the tree line on the short side. From the roadway, one can catch a glimpse of the western elevation as it is bathed in the intense heat and light of the day. The treehouse, covered in metallic cladding, emerges to the neighborhood as an unexpected urban artifact buried in the vegetation. There is no official elevation from the treehouse to the original home. There is only the thin edge of the wedge to be found. The backyard was left empty and in its natural state rather than being filled. With walls that slide out to embrace and draw inspiration from the nature, the building is envisioned as a collection of unstructured areas. The schedule is flexible. Downstairs there is a platform with a veranda edge, a climbing wall, and upstairs there is a loft. The building's size is appropriate for the tree. To reach the low branches, the framework is lengthened and stretched. The internal volumes scale the occupants, causing them to occasionally grow relative to the spaces and occasionally contract within them. Centrifugal motion along its three sides sling shoots the occupants up into the canopy from the ground. The journey's subtle changes in direction and geometry are reinforced by the described structure. Many elements of the treehouse were inspired by children's cubby huts, which have historically inhabited this terrain rather than by the indigenous domestic architecture. The treehouse, albeit elegant and skillfully made, is a reflection of the assortment of unusual materials and textures found in these simple constructions. More specifically, their capacity for eliciting memories and gathering geographic experiences. Home in North Perth. The North Perth House is a Perth inner-city development project. Due to the limited size of the block, the design offers a diversity of areas that are dictated by a straightforward structural arrangement. Construction efficiency and trade economies were important factors to manage when working with a limited budget and a difficult site that required special access. The building structure and the finishing material are both precast concrete panels. The project was able to save a significant amount of money and time by employing this commercial construction approach as the primary conceptual organizing element, while yet keeping clear design integrity and originality in housing form. The project only uses two panel types, one for the first floor running north-south pointing toward the city and one for the ground floor running east-west parallel to the street. With some lateral bracing, the 4 panels on the ground floor support the 4 on the first floor and interlock to form a lattice. These panels, which are located on the ground floor, mark off layers of seclusion from the property's rear toward the street, with each one symbolizing a threshold that leads further into the home's private life. Garage, gallery, vestibule, kitchen, living, and garden are the order of rooms. The panels on the first floor swivel 90 degrees to provide for extensive vistas of Perth City on the south side and to let northern light into the bedrooms. Moments off overlap allow for intriguing spatial dynamics and vertical and oblique views through and out of the dwelling. A large arch or a pedestrian arch, one of 2 sorts, separates each panel. The grand arch is supplied for the more significant gestures in the house, prospect from the kitchen, a sunshade to the back, a secret robe, and a gallery window. To move straight and perpendicular, use the pedestrian arch. The pedestrian arch also maintains the length and width of the site. Opening the front door reveals an unbroken view from the front to the back of the lot. Similar to this, the pedestrian arch presents the entire width of the house when approaching from the first floor. On a 9.5 by 23 meter plot, they are significant gestures. When the arch is not needed, it is insulated with a translucent polycarbonate sheet or a timber inlay, keeping the aperture visible. The material selection is purposefully limited to these 3 treatments: raw concrete for the substantial and durable components like the structural panels and the floor, wood for the cozy touches like furniture, kitchen joinery, balustrades, and bedheads, and translucent sheeting to diffuse the harsh east and west sun and give the height of the interior spaces soft lighting. The resultant spaces, which are dense and dark, lofty and washed, unfinished and raw, and rich and intimate, are complicated despite the design's seeming simplicity. Ha Ha House. Ha Ha House is tucked away in a quiet area of Alphington, Wurundjeri County, where front fences are a welcome and uncommon sight. The design brief given by our client was open-ended. They were willing to consider any blue sky suggestions as long as the final product served its primary purpose as a close-knit family home that accommodated frequent visitors from abroad, intergenerational living, and, on occasion, a transient occupancy. The project wants to give something back to the streetscape and public realm into which it is wrapped and integrated from the walkway. A landscaped mound, hence the name, deceives and conceals not only the necessary visual bulk of a low-lying house but also a 20,000 liters rainwater harvesting tank, which, on the advice of our dependable landscape partner's mud office, serves to provide recycled water for irrigation and bathrooms that is 10 times the amount required by local building regulations. Rainwater does not go to waste because of the size of the single-story roof catchment. A charred black-butt timber-clad vale that is positioned inside and around this mound in some ways creates its own horizon line and functions as a heat sink. Like the other building elements, this native Australian timber cladding stretches from the exterior to the interior of the house. To reduce embodied carbon emissions, the palette was purposefully pared down to 3 main finishes, each of which was locally sourced and chosen for its richness, robustness, longevity, and low maintenance needs. Haynes House. Jamie Fuman's family house on Haynes Street been changed to accommodate his expanding family while maintaining its ties to the 1970s. The property underwent its initial renovation in 2013 when Jamie updated the fences, gardens, and interior by condensing rooms to provide larger, more practical, and lighter spaces. Jamie has added another level, providing for a third bedroom, second bathroom, and rooftop balcony, enabling the family to stay in the home for an extended period of time now that they have 2 young children. The director of Morris Parada Architects, Mike Morris, who created the first North Melbourne house in 1970, hired Jamie when he was still a student. Given that Fuman tackles building with a similar modernist spirit, the modification thus feels collaborative while having been made 50 years ago. Given the site restrictions, the best way to expand was up, with a new level bringing the floor size from 80 to 100 square meters. Take note that, as of 2019, a newly constructed home in Australia has an average size of 3 bedrooms and 235.8 square meters. From the ground floor to the top floor, the materials are lighter and the architecture is simpler, giving the spaces a new vibe. A gradual transition is made easier by the core circulation through the split levels and the subtle pairing and blending of the old and new materials. The 1970s roots give a visible framework, but the renovation takes control of the home. Acoustic dampening between levels is provided at the entry level by new wood wall panels sandwiched between the existing wooden beams, while illumination is hidden by steel joinery. The newly combined sunken kitchen and dining room is grounded by new bluestone floors and a sizable handmade table made by longtime colleague Kyron Starcevich. 2 bedrooms and a bathroom are on the split second level, while the master bedroom, a bathroom, and a rooftop balcony with an outdoor bath are on the split third level. Haynes is tall and noticeable from all angles. The new level is covered in thermally altered wood that has been given a protective treatment to hasten the silvering process. The new level is meant to be mysterious. The streamlined shape and minimalistic accents hide the stepped addition's complexity as well as solar panels and other equipment. The rooftop balcony looks out onto the street yet is a secret area where the sky and stars may be seen, surprising guests. Pangolin Associates has rated this project as carbon neutral. The full offset of emissions from embodied energy, materials, products, and building has already been achieved, and the solar array is expected to more than make up for any emissions that are anticipated from the homes used during its entire life cycle. By paying attention to proportion and orientation, Haynes' small scale, in particular, the new bedroom, bathroom, and deck, is made more advantageous. These functional, light-filled spaces are more pleasant to be in since they were made at the right size for the job.